Anger is a universal experience. Someone says something that hits a raw nerve. It could be a sarcastic comment from a colleague, an unfair criticism, or simple disrespect in traffic. In that instant, the body reacts before the mind can even process. The heart rate speeds up, muscles tense, and a wave of stress hormones floods the system. Often, this single interaction, which perhaps lasted only a few seconds, has the power to ruin the entire day. You end up mentally replaying the event, rehearsing responses that will never be given, remaining trapped in a cycle of frustration that consumes precious energy. However, believing that this reaction is inevitable or that it is entirely the fault of the external element is a fundamental error of perspective. The counterintuitive truth is that no one has the intrinsic power to disturb our emotional state unless they are actively granted that faculty. As we will see, anger and annoyance are not external impositions, but internal choices, often unconscious ones. In this analysis, we will deconstruct the psychological and neurobiological mechanisms that transform an external event into internal turmoil. We will explore fundamental pillars for achieving emotional stability that does not depend on circumstances, the neurochemical window and the choice point. The first step towards emotional immunity is understanding the biological mechanics of the reaction. When a provoking event occurs, the brain releases a cascade of stress chemicals. There is a crucial neurological fact. These chemicals are naturally flushed from the system in exactly 90 seconds. This means that the pure physiological reaction, what we perceive as uncontrollable anger, has an extremely short lifespan. If the emotion persists beyond this minute and a half, it is no longer an automatic biological reaction, but a choice to keep that emotion alive. We continue to feel disturbed because our mind continuously recharges the system, replaying the story of the offense and mentally rehearsing our replies, as if we continue to burn toast just because the smoke alarm went off. Between the initial stimulus and this automatic response, there is a space, often imperceptible, the choice point. It is in this microsecond that emotional freedom resides. Viktor Frankl discovered the existence of this space, even in the extreme conditions of a concentration camp. Regardless of what happens, we always maintain the freedom to choose our response. Recognizing that after 90 seconds you are actively choosing to suffer is the first step to stop being a pinball bouncing from one circumstance to another. But if biology explains the how of the reaction, it does not explain why certain things hit us more than others. What really are those buttons that others seem to push? The revelation of secondary emotion. It is common to say that person knows exactly which buttons to push. This phrase implies that we are helpless remote controls at the mercy of others. The reality is that those buttons are unhealed wounds or violations of values from our past. When someone pushes them, they are not creating the pain. They are showing us where we still need healing. A fundamental concept to internalize is that what we call anger is often not anger at all. Anger is the emotional equivalent of a bodyguard. It shows up to protect more vulnerable feelings like hurt, fear, or shame. It is safer to feel angry because a partner forgot an anniversary rather than admit the vulnerability of feeling unimportant. When we identify the underlying emotion, we can address the real problem. Saying "I felt forgotten" leads to a very different response than yelling "you never remember anything." Vulnerability heals, while anger only creates more distance. But sometimes the pressure is too strong to be managed in the moment. Is there a strategy for these cases? The timeout protocol and boundary management. Sometimes the most powerful thing to do is to temporarily remove yourself from a triggering situation. This is not running away. It is a strategic retreat. The timeout protocol serves to give the nervous system time to reset and the prefrontal cortex time to come back online. It is an act of maturity to say, "This conversation is important to me, but I'm not in the right headspace now. Can we talk about it after dinner?" 5 minutes of space can save hours of necessary repair conversations after saying things you regret. Healthy boundaries are not walls to keep people out, but gates of which we are the gatekeepers. They must be like the skin of the body. They allow good things to enter and keep harmful ones out. Once our boundaries are protected, how can we observe what happens without being sucked in? Activating the detached observer. To diffuse the automatic reaction, it is necessary to develop the faculty of the observer. Imagine your mind as a blue sky and emotions as clouds passing through it. You are the sky, not the clouds. The common mistake is to identify with the passing emotion. Instead of saying, "I am angry," we should note, anger is arising. The observer is that part of you that is always calm and present, that can watch the storm without becoming part of it. When you become the observer of the circus of life, you realize that most things do not deserve your energy. This practice creates emotional immunity. It allows you to see that the words of others are just verbal garbage. If someone handed you a real bag of garbage, you wouldn't accept it. Why then accept their emotional garbage? Many people are exhausted, not because they work too much, but because they bleed energy through distractions and useless emotional reactions. Attention is a sacred currency, not an economic one. And if we invest it in what makes us angry, we are weakening our foundations. To never be disturbed by others, we must stop giving them our attention. When someone disrespects you, they often seek exactly your reaction, your energy. If you react, you feed their fire. If you keep the focus within, you conserve your power. Where attention goes, energy flows, rewriting the narrative and emotional trainers. We do not experience objective reality, but the story we tell ourselves about it. If we change the story, we change the emotional experience. A boss's abrupt tone can be interpreted as, "He hates me," generating anxiety, or as he is stressed and in a hurry, generating understanding. A powerful perspective is to see difficult people not as enemies, but as involuntary emotional trainers. Every difficult interaction becomes an opportunity to level up emotionally, transforming you from victim to student. We can also use techniques like the negative visualization of the Stoics, preparing ourselves in the morning for the fact that we will meet rude or selfish people, and when we find ourselves in the midst of annoyance, we apply the 5-5-5 rule. Will this matter in 5 years? In 5 months? If the answer is no, let it go immediately. It is possible to care deeply about someone without taking on their emotions. Many confuse empathy with absorbing others' drama, but this only leads to burnout and helps no one. Compassionate distance is like being a lifeguard. You throw the life preserver to someone who is drowning, but you don't jump in to drown with them. Stillness and radical willingness. The highest level of mastery is not a technique, but a state, stillness. It is not passivity or weakness, but the purest form of power. While the world reacts impulsively, the master observes. This stability comes from a radical willingness, an unconditional yes to life. When we stop demanding that the world meet our expectations and let go of attachment to how things should be, we become untouchable. Applying these principles daily is a path to knowing yourself better and finally living well. Remember, true strength is not yelling to drown out the noise of the world, but being so centered that the noise never pushes you to lose yourself again.